I must at the outset appeal to you all to listen carefully to the several arguments advanced in support of the new scheme of education and give it a fair trial. The matter is complicated. It is unfortunate that small matters should have become so complicated. Big questions get through without any trouble, but sometimes small matters are not easily understood. This appears to be a natural phenomenon. We all readily understand that a stone is dangerous, but we do not easily understand the potentialities of the air with which we are surrounded. I would compare elementary education to the wind. We should realize it is powerful. Like the wind, elementary education should be spread all over without being noticeable. It is indeed regrettable that it should be said that there is a big conspiracy behind the new scheme. Probably because I am its author, some people suspect that there is something behind it. If some other person would have done it by God's grace, everyone might have accepted it and the scheme might have worked successfully. I made similar suggestion over 30 years. I thought that somebody would do it, but ultimately no one took it up. I myself did not take up this question in the past. In my old age, I thought that I should put it through. People may ask why I am keen on implementing this scheme and not pass it off to a better person. That is one side of the question. On the other hand, I have left this undone all these years and feel that I should attempt it at least now. For some time, people might abuse me and then there will be an end to it. I cannot understand why there should be so much agitation over this simple issue. There have been many occasions in the history of this country when several changes have taken place in the field of education and no one has protested. People in olden days were fortunate, but I am not unfortunate because for the small change I am introducing there is so much protest. To my mind, the confusion that is created in the minds of the people and the mistaken notion that education gets employment is the cause of what I call the disease. Criticism is made and fear expressed that the full period of education under the new scheme has been reduced by half, and it is said that a full meal has been cut half. This is a mistaken notion and there is no substance in the fear. What is required is that everybody should know how to read and write. Everyone, without distinction of caste or creed or profession, should acquire this knowledge. It would be a good thing for every one of them to be educated. How this is to be achieved is the question. The job of the government is to see that everyone receives some education. There is no connection between education and getting employment. If we realize the truth of this, the implications of the new scheme will be clearly understood. A small change introduced under the new scheme is that the duration of instruction in schools is reduced from 5 to 3 years. I have the authority of educationists to say that 3 hours are sufficient to teach the students to read, write and learn, allowing for festival and other holidays. If it is possible to impart education in 3 hours, why should children be troubled for 5 years? Some people criticize that if a child is left alone, he will climb a tree or somehow ideal away his time. This claim of objectors seem to say that they have entrusted their children to the teachers to be looked after all through the day and that they are disappointed that their children are being sent back to their care much earlier. I only pity those who raise such objections. The real question is how the leisure hours can be utilized by the children. It is enough if the children spend the time in play and also incidentally learn with interest and pleasure. The thrill that children get from flying a kite can be appreciated. Children learn a lot by flying kites. When I was a student, I was very much attracted by the potter's wheel and used to run up to watch the potter at work. This was a great experience for me. If the children watch the pot maker, then they will learn the technique of it. Similarly, children can watch craftsmen at work. It was suggested that these crafts can be taught by trained teachers within the school. This suggestion cannot be accepted because our past experience with these teachers has not been very encouraging. Details in working out the scheme can always be discussed and examined. The scheme will be successful only if there is a change in the attitude of the people. This situation must be changed and the whole village should also be converted into a polytechnic. Dear Sir, we have received your letter of the 8th instant. Our contract with you was entered into on the clear understanding that you will observe its terms and conditions. We should like to point out that our expectations have not been fulfilled. Under the terms of the settlement, the work has to be finished by the middle of May, and there is no reasonable certainty of this result being achieved. You had better consider what would be the result of your action if the work you have undertaken is not finished on the date in question. We should like to have a definite assurance as to your intentions. You will remember that we went into the matter at great length in our previous communication, and we should not have had to reopen the subject so soon but for the way in which our instructions have been disregarded. We hope you will excuse us for saying so, but it looks as though you will never put your heart and soul into the work or carry out the terms of the contract. We cannot resist the conclusion that you could have done more with greater vigilance. If you could finish the work rapidly now, we would not take any technical objection on the ground of delay. It may seem to you that we are unduly harsh, but on careful consideration, you will find that you are wrong in thinking so. At this distance of time, it is impossible for us to say in how many other cases we have been put to loss involving a large sum of money. But you know perfectly well that we have shown great patience in a large number of cases, especially in one instance which occurred the year before last, when a similar case was under consideration. Please reply at your earliest convenience, or if you can come up here at some time or other next week. We shall afford you the fullest opportunity for such personal explanation as you may desire to give in regard to your difficulties. Please take steps to send me a reply as early as you can. Yours faithfully.